What if all bees went extinct? The future of pollination. Hey everyone. Today we re-diving into a scenario that might sound like the plot of a dystopian sci-fi movie, but it is a terrifying real-world possibility. What would happen if all the bees went extinct? You've probably heard people saying, "Save the bees," but have you ever really thought about why? What's the big deal if those tiny buzzing creatures disappear? Let me tell you this. The consequences are way more intense than you can imagine. The unseen army of pollinators bees are more than just insects that make honey. They are the silent workforce behind one of nature's most crucial jobs, pollination. A staggering 75% of the world's flowering plants and 35% of global food crops depend on animal pollinators, most of which are bees. Imagine that. 1 out of every 3 bites of food you take is thanks to a bee. Now picture a world without them. Fields of flowers fading to lifeless patches of dirt. Fruit trees barren and empty. Grocery stores stripped of the bright hues of fruits and vegetables. The very colors of life itself fading from our world. But the reality is even darker. Without bees, it wouldn't just be honey we're losing. It would be entire ecosystems collapsing. Whole food webs would disintegrate. Animals that rely on these plants, like birds and herbivores, would face starvation. Next in line are the carnivores that eat those herbivores. One by one, entire food chains crumble. A chain reaction of destruction. Let me give you a real-world example. In regions of China where wild bees have been wiped out due to pesticides, farmers are now hand-pollinating their crops using paintbrushes. Think about that. Human labor trying to replace an army of bees and failing miserably. The process is painstakingly slow and insanely expensive. Scaling it up globally? A logistical nightmare. Imagine paying 5 times more for every apple or almond because of the sheer cost of manual pollination. That's if you can even find them. Food scarcity would drive prices through the roof. Economies would falter and hunger rates would explode. The rise of technological pollinators. Humans are pretty inventive though, right? Scientists are developing robo-bees, tiny drones designed to replicate bee pollination. Sounds cool, but reality has other plans. These robotic bees are incredibly expensive, energy-intensive, and ridiculously complex to program. Navigating like real bees, identifying flowers, and carrying pollen accurately. It's like trying to mimic a master artist with a robotic arm. Some futurists even dream of genetically engineered flowers that don't need bees or bioengineered super pollinators, creatures designed to take over the role of bees. But here's the brutal truth. Nature has fine-tuned the bee for millions of years. Replacing that perfection with synthetic solutions is like trying to replace the sun with a giant light bulb. Technically possible, but catastrophically flawed. A real-life wake-up call. The vanishing bees. This isn't just speculation. In the last few decades, colony collapse disorder, CCD, has been wiping out bees globally. Pesticides, habitat loss, climate change, and disease are the main culprits. I once spoke to a farmer in California who watched his entire almond orchard fail because his bee colonies just didn't return one year. He called it the quiet apocalypse. And here's the crazy part. Despite knowing the risks, we're still allowing harmful pesticides to be used. Why? Short-term profit over long-term survival. In the hyper-competitive agricultural industry, farmers sometimes feel trapped, forced to use whatever works fastest, even if it means risking ecological collapse. A nightmare without bees. The future of food. Imagine walking through a futuristic megacity, a place where fresh fruit and vegetables are luxury items, available only to the ultra-rich. Synthetic food is the norm, and massive greenhouses run by tech giants try to replicate natural ecosystems. People drink lab-grown fruit pulp as the new juice, while genetically modified grains dominate diets. In this grim future, children learn about bees from history books and virtual reality simulations. They never taste real honey or see flowers bloom as they used to. Food becomes scarce, and global hunger rates skyrocket. The rich eat nutrient packs, while the poor survive on processed sludge. Are we worth saving? Now, let's hit a deeper chord. If our relentless pursuit of progress and profit ultimately dooms bees, are we, as a species, worth saving? Think about it. We create pesticides to protect crops and end up killing the very insects that make those crops possible. It's like trying to put out a fire by pouring gasoline on it. The ancient philosopher Laozi once said, "Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished." We, on the other hand, rush to accomplish everything and end up dismantling nature. Have we become so obsessed with controlling the world that we've forgotten how to coexist with it? Are we fighting nature or fighting ourselves? Maybe it is time we start asking why we are always in such a rush, why we are willing to gamble the future for a few extra bucks today. A glimmer of hope. Working with nature, saving the bees isn't just about environmentalism. It asks about self-preservation. Planting bee-friendly flowers, reducing pesticide use, and supporting sustainable farming are practical steps. Scientists are also working on breeding more resilient bee species, but none of that can happen without public awareness and collective action. Imagine if every city had rooftop gardens designed to attract pollinators, schools teaching kids to cultivate flowers instead of just memorizing facts. Imagine farmers rewarded for eco-friendly practices rather than pressured into harmful shortcuts. We're at a crossroads. Either we continue down the path of destruction, or we hit the brakes and choose coexistence over dominance. The latter means a future where bees and humanity might just have a fighting chance. Let's face it, saving the bees means saving ourselves. We can't afford to be complacent, thinking technology will fix everything. Sometimes the simplest solutions, like planting a flower garden or supporting local beekeepers, are the most powerful. The bee is more than just a tiny insect. It's a living symbol of balance, harmony, and our interconnectedness with nature. Let's not take it for granted. If this talk has opened your eyes, share it. Spread awareness. Let us build a future where we don't just survive, but thrive alongside the natural world. Stay curious, stay conscious, and remember, every small action counts.